Welcome back to Hello everyone, and welcome to White Jasmine Everyday Cooking. I'm Huma Siddiqui, and as you know, I just love to create simple, easy, but delicious recipes. And look at these array of beautiful colors today. There's a lot of fresh ingredients in my recipes today, as always. But anyway, I wanted to show you some of look at these beautiful jalapenos, the green onions, the tomatoes, and what we are going to make with these is really a chutney that my children really love it, and I usually like to make it sometimes during the summertime, but a lot of times when the fall starts or the winter. It's kind of hearty and nourishing, and it looks beautiful. So if you can find, as winter comes along, if you can find wonderful tomatoes, go for it, because that's what you need. You would need some of these plum ripe tomatoes, and some of the green onions, jalapenos, and it's a delicious chutney on the side. And you can also sometimes use it for your pasta. If you like the flavors, just throw some pasta in there, and there's your wonderful dish. So today I'm going to make some basmati rice with garbanzo beans and some cilantro and some turmeric, of course, and then a chicken recipe with some of my spice blends and fresh spinach, some cilantro, bunch of garlic as always, and then the tomato chutney. So hang in there. The pan is getting warmer. What I'm going to do is take the onions, and let's add some oil first. So just as usual, the canola oil. Make sure your pan is warm enough, and then it's coated. And let's start adding some of our whole spices. So cinnamon, as usual. And a large, black cardamom, couple of cloves. All of the whole spices are going to go in as usual. And the green cardamoms. So all of these spices are going to start to bloom in here. A little bit of whole cumin, and you'll start to hear the sizzle in just a minute. And while this is working its way, I just wanted to chop some onions and throw that another layer of flavor, which will be just amazing. And of course, we can't forget about the bay leaves. So a couple of bay leaves. Let's chop, and this is just a yellow onion, so not the sweet one. Because you don't want your rice to be too sweet. Basmati rice has a tendency to be a little bit sweeter than the other rice. So, think about when you're putting your flavors in, think about what what you want to do, how you're going to add it. So just chop this. And all this is going to do is, continue to add that layer of flavor that we absolutely love and want in our food. So just kind of slice it and then chop it. What I also like to do, as most of the time when I'm making, throwing some onions in any of my recipes, it's all about keeping the onions, keeping the texture. You can go with this one actually a little bit browner or golden brown on the edges, because it will add a little bit more flavor to your rice. So hear that sizzle? It's a good thing. Let's finish this. And as you continue to add these flavors, you will see the difference when you make the rice just on its own, or when you start to add. If you get overwhelmed with that many flavors, just add a couple of them. Just add the whole spices first and see how it turns out. Baby steps is a good thing. And as you start to feel confident about your flavors, then start adding them and layering them as you want. What you want to do is kind of saute it very well. And with all the whole spices and onions, it will start to come together very quickly. Now I can start smelling it actually. It's just beautiful. So here I have some boneless chicken. What I want to do today is add some of the spices so it can sit in it for a little while. Just, you know, a couple of minutes before we start cooking it. So some olive oil. A little bit of salt. And we'll add some more spices and you know, in the sauce as well, because there's going to be fire roasted tomatoes, some of that, you know, fresh spinach. So you need a bunch of flavor. Some of our saji masala. I'm going to actually add both saji and tandoori this time, because what I wanted to get out of it, because we have spinach, whenever you add another vegetable, you want to add, you know, a little bit more flavor to your dishes than usual, because remember, this is going to absorb some of the flavor and the chicken, so you want to keep enhancing that. A little bit of turmeric, some chili powder for that heat you want, and then just mix it together. And let it kind of sit in it for a couple of minutes before we start cooking it. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll get the chicken started. So don't go away. Hello everyone, and welcome to White Jasmine Everyday Cooking. I'm making the rice here, and you can see the onions are getting a little bit browner on the side, and all our spices are really kind of playing together, and that's what you want. Look at the onions, they're looking just beautiful. So what I'm going to do is add our garbanzo beans. Goes in there. A little bit of salt. Some turmeric as always. And some cilantro. This is going to add a lot of color and also fresh, you know, flavors to it. That's what you want. You want your rice to be really flavorful, because all our, of course, all our other dishes are flavorful as well, but it's just going to complement everything that you're making. So let's chop the cilantro. Just roll it up the easy way and chop it. That goes in there, and then the rice. And I have rinsed the rice, you know, very gently. And you just want to add that. See, before even the rice, which is very flavorful in itself, goes in, there's a lot of flavor already. So you throw that in here. And a little bit of warm water. So just stir it very gently, make sure everything is coated, you know, that your rice is coated as well, very nicely with the oil and all the ingredients that are in here. Just some water. And as it starts to come to a boil, we'll put it on low heat, cover it, and forget about it for a little while. And let's focus on our chicken. So in this pan, what I wanted to do, I've started to warm the pan up, because, you know, it's always advisable and it's pretty warm. Let's add some olive oil. Our chicken is actually sitting in all these spices, looking really good. So some olive oil. As it starts to, you know, get a little bit warmer, then I'm going to add some whole spices and then onions. Make sure it's coated well. And here is my onion. So let's chop this first. As the oil is kind of getting warmer, you want to take advantage of the time and get it, you know, the next layer ready. So again, this is a yellow onion, and you just want to, I like the flavor of this onion very much, because it has a bit of a sweeter flavor, but it does have a lot of the depth of the flavor, which I like. So, you know, if you want to use this, I think it's a great combination with this chicken and with all of these spices that are going in there with the chicken. So again, slice it and just dice it. While this is done, let's add some of the whole spices in our chicken. So again, a few cloves, the black cardamom, couple of these, adds a really nice smoky flavor to it, and some green cardamoms as well. Again, what you're trying to do is really balance all the flavors together. So there's a little bit of sweeter, a little bit of smoky and spicy. That's what makes the recipe. And our cinnamon stick. Perfect. And as this starts to get warmer, you know what I want to do is add our onions. Again, it's pretty warm, which is a good thing, because what happens is all the flavors are going to start to infuse the oil really quickly if the pan is warm and the oil is warm. So I can't really emphasize enough to say, always remember to keep that temperature, going. And we don't really need to saute this a lot, just a little bit, because I want the texture to be there, and just kind of go with it. So as we see, my eyes are starting to water. I think I'm going to make it. So as this is working, I just want to start chopping our fresh spinach. So again, take it and just rough chop. And I have about a pound of chicken. So you can, if you love spinach like I do, I'll eat, add a bunch. So here. And then what you want to add is a little bit of your garlic. And what we'll do is, as we start adding garlic, we'll take a short break, come back. I need to kind of clear up, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, so don't go away. Welcome to White Jasmine Everyday Cooking. We're making our rice, is almost done. And our chicken, I want to make in this pan, so our, onions are getting sauteed. All those tears are gone now. So I've added a little bit of garlic. Let's add a little bit more. And then we're going to start adding some of the spices. And of course, the fire roasted tomatoes is going to make that sauce. So let's get this a little bit higher heat. Right there. Our chicken has been sitting in all these spices. So I'm just going to add that first. So it start to saute a little bit. So what we had in the chicken was our tandoori masala, our saji masala, and also some turmeric, a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil, and then a little bit of chili powder. So just for the heat, because I like it a little bit hotter. Just mix it all around. All that garlic and onions are just going to make a huge, huge difference with the layers of flavor. And our fresh spinach is sitting right there. I'm going to add it in just a couple of minutes. So what you want to make sure is that all the onions and your sauce is kind of wrapped around your chicken first before you start to add all the other ingredients. So you have that working well, and kind of on medium heat is good. You don't want to burn your onions or your sauce, but you also want to make sure that the heat is helping the sauce to kind of play around with your chicken or whatever meat you decide to use. Chicken is one of my favorites because it's easy to cook, and you can really do a lot of different things with it. So as this kind of start to work, I'm going to add our fire roasted tomatoes. Just add another layer of, of flavor here. And then add your spinach. And with spinach, you know, it's going to just wilt really quickly and start to get accommodated, not accumulated really, with your chicken and everything else. So here. Again, make sure that you gently kind of mix everything together. Look how beautiful this is looking. With the red tomatoes, the onions, and the green spinach. It just comes together. A beautiful dish, very easy and also very healthy. If you think about the flavors that have gone in there, if you think about the protein and everything else that is around it, just creates a wonderful dish, a very healthy combination. And again, if you don't have fresh spinach available, just use the frozen one, but I prefer fresh if it's possible at all. So let's put it on a lower heat and cover it, because what will happen, it will leave a little bit of water around it, and that's how the chicken is going to cook. So with that steam going in here, what I want to do is just lower the heat a little bit. And we'll check on it in a couple of minutes. While this is all working, let's chop up our tomatoes, because that's going to be our chutney on the side. Beautiful tomatoes. And I like them a little bit firm, because what happens is that then you get all the texture in it. If it's just too ripe, then it's going to get mushy very quickly. So see how easily it is to chop? And again, slice them and just chop them. Simple recipe, probably more like, a hot salsa is what I will relate it to. And what you want to add to it is just a little bit of chili powder. I'm going to add a little bit of cumin, the ground cumin and whole cumin as well. And then some jalapenos, some green onions. Start to think about those flavors, how they will come together. It's going to be just a beautiful side dish. Lovely. And what you want to do is, I'm just going to chop some of our jalapenos. See how beautiful they look? And if you want to be adventurous, then go for the serrano peppers. Just going to be hot, but it's going to be just wonderful. Chop these a little bit. And then I want to check on our rice, because it's been about 10 or 12 minutes and it should be ready. All the ingredients are in there, so let's take a quick look. There you go. I still have a bit of water in here, but what you want to do is just kind of check it. There's still some water in here, so you want to leave it alone. We'll take a short break. When we come back, I think all of our recipes are going to be ready. We'll make the chutney, and dinner is served. Welcome back to Why Jasmine Everyday Cooking. Our meal is almost done, and what I wanted to do is show you the rice first, so that we can start making our chutney after that. And look at this beautiful rice. All the water is gone. It's looking, all the grains are separated, and that's what you want. What you want to do is just kind of gently turn it over, get everything in the middle. And it's looking great. So let's get this moved and then start making the chutney. The chicken is kind of cooking away, and I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. So it's going to be a very colorful and very delightful meal. So here in this pan, what I want to do is add a bit of olive oil. We are going to make that quick chutney that I've been talking about, and look at those beautiful ingredients right there. They're looking amazing. All those flavors and those combinations, those colors are just going to come together. All you want to add to this is really, once it starts to get warm, the whole cumin. That's the base of this chutney. So almost about a teaspoon of that. And once it starts to sizzle, we're going to add our green onions. I've already chopped these. And why green onions? Because it just adds this beautiful flavor and color to your chutney. So throw that in here. And it's going to start to just sizzle away. While it's doing that, let's check on our chicken. So look at this. See all the water? I didn't add any liquid to it. It's all coming from the spinach and from the tomatoes and a little bit from the chicken, of course. So all the spinach is kind of wilted, and just be a part of it. It's chicken with spinach, not spinach with chicken. So it can be either way. You know, if you like spinach so much, add a bunch more. But it's almost done, and you want a little bit of sauce as well on the side. So I'm going to leave it for just a couple of minutes in here, and then we'll get it ready to serve. Let's see what the onions are starting to sizzle. Let's add our tomatoes and the jalapenos in here. I just kind of put everything together because that's your combination. Beautiful. We'll add a little bit of salt to it and a little bit of, I think I'm going to add ground cumin and some chili powder. Very simple. So because there's so much flavor in this dish and in your rice as well, you want to keep this simple. Tomatoes on its own just are always wonderful. Anyway, you know. Let's add a bit of salt. And a little bit of ground cumin. I'm not going to add chili powder because we added the jalapenos, so I don't want it like, you know, boiling hot. I just want a bit hot. So this is just going to start to work. And what you want to do is kind of increase the heat a little bit so that all the water starts to come out of your tomatoes. And you want to keep the texture of it. So, you know, you don't want to get it all mushy, but at least so somewhere in the middle of being mushy and, you know, just like this. Let's add a little bit of cilantro as our topping, as always. Can't cook without cilantro, you know. All these fresh ingredients, you know, just think about it. So here, a bunch of that goes in. And I think our chicken is almost done. I just want to show you pretty quickly. And then we'll start to plate. So here is our chicken looking great. See how colorful, and a bit of sauce on the side. Always, always good. So let's switch this off. And then we'll start plating it in just a couple of minutes. Or let's start it now. Move this. So just look at our rice. So just a couple of big tablespoons of rice on the side. Let's get our chicken. And this is just a wonderful meal, you know, very healthy, very fresh. You can make it on Sunday afternoons. Everybody will love it. A bit of sauce. Then let's check on our tomatoes. See, it's starting to lose some, get some of the sauce out, some of the water. That's what you want. I will keep it just as it is, if not more, to cook a little bit. You can cook a little bit more if you want and get it, you know, it to be a little bit soggier, but I like it. I like the texture, so I'm just going to switch it off and plate this as well. Catch some of those jalapenos, because you know when you suddenly get it in your bite of your food, it's just a little party going on in your mouth. Always nice to get that a little bit of a surprise. So here's your beautiful meal, you know, with all these three dishes, with your protein, with your fresh vegetables, and your rice. I hope you get a chance to enjoy them, and if you have any questions, please let us know and we'll continue to answer those as we go along. And I hope you have a great day. So we'll see you next week.